I read chapter 3 of Bartle and Sherbert. I began last week. I was able to finish the whole thing this week. In the case of chapter 3 for Bartle and Sherbert, it actually happens to be the longest chapter in the book. So it's sequences and series, but most of the chapter is really sequences. Sequences and limits. Some limit theorems, then monotone sequences, then the Bolzano-Weierstrass theorem, which is about a bounded sequence of real numbers has a convergent subsequence. That's it. Then the Cauchy criterion, a sequence of real numbers is convergent if and only if it is a Cauchy sequence, and a Cauchy sequence of real numbers is bounded. Yeah, and then what constitutes a Cauchy sequence, with the difference being the two indices, n and m. And then there's a nice section on divergent series. Divergent sequences, not series. Everything up to 3.6 is sequences, just the sequence itself. And then you take the sequence and you put it into a summation, and that is a series. Now, there's only one section in this chapter about infinite series, because for whatever reason, this book has chapter 9 as the infinite series chapter. Really. So 3.7, you got to jump to chapter 9. And that's what I'll be reading next. Again, it's out of sequence in the book, but it makes perfect sense for me. So that's what I'll be doing. And in the case of Rudin, because I'm mapping to it, it's chapter 3. And in the case of Rudin, both what effectively are chapter 3 and 9, what are chapter 3 and 9 in Bartle and Sherbert, it's really chapter 3 in Rudin, and I have a video of my reading this chapter in my channel. So to the notes, which is really just me showing that I read. It's just what I showed, just my own notes of it. And it's a long chapter. It is the longest chapter in the book by a few pages. The only chapter that is a few pages longer, 4 pages longer, is the integration chapter. And it relaxes me sometimes to just look through my notes, and I have debated of whether to make an AMSR video of me just paging through my notes. I'm considering it. I don't know. I think I'm going to make one video like that. And if it doesn't get views, I'll never do one again. If it does, I'll keep doing them. So when you get to the monotone section, I really like how Bartle and Sherbert went back and said, okay, what we've done so far, let's go through all the different concepts that we have discussed and all the theorems. I really like this, the way the book did it. So there's a lot of subsequencing. There's a very nice application, calculation of square roots using sequences. Really like that. Found that instructive, I should say. Then again, as I was showing the divergent criteria, I really liked the sine n example that they use, where depending on which subsequence you use, you're either in this little subsequence up here or the one down here. And you can see that they're both outside the main range. And so you can say something about the sequence by using a subsequence. Instructive. Some nested interval property use. The Cauchy criterion. And of course, I found it useful to just sit down and do a few terms in the case of when they started going into the Cauchy criterion. I just wanted to understand it better, and it really helps sometimes when you're looking at a sequence, at least for me it is, to just say, okay, let me do a couple more terms than they did just to get a feel for the sequence. A very interesting use of the root of a cubic equation. Then some limit comparisons. Of course, the geometric series makes they use the harmonic series and the geometric series to explain a lot of the concepts, and they keep doing that, which I like. Gives it a very consistent theme of discussing the same series for different theorems. So there you have it. That is chapter 3 of Bartle and Sherbert.